Today we're talking with Dr. Dardano. I met him in Manhattan at his holistic medicine practice and also chiropractic. He recently moved together with his husband in Beacon, New York, where they opened a new practice up there. So, Dr. Dardano, I think you opened your practice just this past weekend, isn't it?
That's correct. It's so nice to see you today. We had our grand opening last weekend and are excited to be opened up here in Beacon for the holiday season.
Oh, great. So, could you please tell us what is holistic medicine?
Sure. Holistic medicine is really looking at a person and all of the aspects of their being rather than looking through a narrow perspective of someone who has digestive problems or sleep problems or wanting to have weight management and trying to fix that issue. It's really stepping back and having the most wide open holistic perspective of all the aspects of this person, their emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, lifestyle habits, and really trying to understand the person on that level.
So, how long have you practiced holistic medicine?
Wow, unbelievably, it's coming up on 15 years in June.
So, have you always been a holistic doctor, or you've? I know you are a chiropractor because we worked on that. So, was your start in chiropractic, or how did you start?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I actually started out as a personal trainer, which inspired me to become a chiropractor. During school, I did a master's in clinical nutrition and herbology and started to understand how food and diet affect the body as well. And then when I came out of school, it really started the journey for me studying homeopathic medicine, understanding how emotions affect the physical body. And then I studied Reiki for many years. And then I started studying Bach flower remedies and meditation. And it's just really, it's always a journey of growth and learning more from me so that my practice over the years has really morphed and expanded and changed and become this holistic animal that it is now. But it was just always baby steps going forward each year. And I continue to learn and grow and expand all the time, which makes for an exciting life for me. And, it helps my patients. The more I learn, the more I'm able to share with them.
So, tell us, how do you help your patients? What are your methods of diagnosis, and how do you assess a patient? What is different in the way you work compared to traditional doctors?
Sure, absolutely. I would say that most people that come to see me have already been through Western medicine, through all of the jumping through the hoops, and they've come to me with many sets of lab work, so many diagnoses, so many specialists they've seen. So they just dump it all on my lab. And for me, it's look at the science, understand the lab work, understand the test results, the diagnosis, and then taking all that into perspective, I just take a big step back and I go, okay, but what's going on below all of this? And that's the part where I step away from science and more into the intuitive side. So I use kinesiology or muscle testing, which is a way to intuitively test through the body and understand through acupuncture, energy meridians, where the energy in the body doesn't feel quite right, where there's a block or something is just off balance. And so that's a great way for me to get a very broad perspective of people and look at what's happening in their head, what's happening, in their life. And I have people do food diaries for me and look at what kind of foods they're putting in their body. I mean, that's obviously super important, but it's a matter of understanding their daily habits and talking with them about how they manage their life, how they manage their stress. So I'd say that's a good starting point for me. And then from there, each step is having them look at more aspects, looking at Ayurvedic medicine and understanding their body that way, looking at their blood type and how that affects how they eat and how they sleep and how they function, looking even at their astrological sign and their personality types. All of these things together really give me the idea of who they are as a being.
I have a lot of friends who have a lot of problems with their skin, eczema and breakouts, especially for women. Skin issues affect women in such a powerful way. If you could please talk a little bit about the relationship between skin issues and other underlying things, like what is going on with the body when we have skin issues, because usually all these friends that have skin problems, they go to a traditional doctor, and what they get is creams or treatments with all kinds of needles, but I know the problem is not solved like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find the skin to be a super interesting diagnostic tool of what's going on inside the body. So in Eastern medicine philosophy, the belief is that the inside, the digestive system, and the integrity of that system is represented by the skin on the outside of the body. So it's actually a really big clue to us as to what's happening on the inside. So when you look at skin conditions, you just take it for face value and you say, okay, eczema, dryness, patchy, redness, irritation, heat. So that tells me what's happening in the intestinal tract. The same thing. It's dry, it's dehydrated, it's got cracks. We call it leaky gut syndrome, right? Which is a big buzzword these days. It tells me the wrong bugs are living in the digestive system. People are supposed to have a nice, healthy balance. Bacteria, yeast, mold, fungus, viruses, parasites, but they have to be in the right balance and they have to be the right kind of bug. So we talk about probiotics being a healthy, supportive bug system, but the ecosystem can be completely out of whack and knocked off, and then we're going to see it on the skin with breakouts, acne, things like that, telling us the body is trying to get rid of these toxins and these excretions from these bugs. Even psoriasis has a relationship to the digestive system as well. So for me, the skin on the outside will heal once you deal with what's going on the inside. So to patch it up with creams and sprays and steroids and all this stuff, it doesn't really solve the problem. It's an afterthought. If you want to get to the root, you go inside, and there lies all of the clues to what's really going on. And that's the same thing with the sinuses, the ear canals, what's happening in the mouth and the oral health. They're all going to relate back to the digestion. And I would say, since you're asking about women particularly, obviously, as the hormone cycles go through every month, it's going to have an impact. I would say most of my female patients did struggle with skin issues and digestive issues during their PMS cycle. And I wouldn't say that that's a normal response. It tells me that the hormones are out of whack through the entire hormone system, whether it's the adrenals, the reproductive system, the thyroid, the pituitary, that there's something not right in the hormone system. And then when you put that on top of what's happening in the gut, that time of the month, it's a double challenge. So then everything starts to happen. But if you can remove the baseline, get the digestion healthy and strong again, then the skin starts to come down to a lower level with the hormone issues. So the cycles become much more fluid, and many things change, not just the skin. But the relationship is right there in everybody's face.
Because a lot of women get prescribed by their doctors the pill, which is artificial hormones. And this pill is supposed not to help only with to be a birth control, but to help with their skin. And I think that is the wrong way to go about solving skin issues, taking a birth control pill that messes up with your hormones.
Yeah, and the other thing that's not talked about is a lot of those birth control pills have an antibiotic in it as well. Usually if they end with the word mycin, it has an antibiotic at a low level in there. And our bodies are not meant to be fed antibiotics consistently. If you have a really intense infection, by all means, go take your antibiotics. But to continue to introduce antibiotics on a regular basis, because they're trying to clear up, let's say, excess bacteria that's causing acne. The effects of that are far outweighed by the detriment, because you're constantly killing the good bacteria that is supposed to populate the body, that supports the digestion, that actually supports the immune system. And what happens, you get all the bacteria out, and people have an overgrowth of yeast and mold and fungus and parasites, and then they end up in this cycle. So when they stop the therapies, the antibiotics / birth control, all of a sudden there's more breakouts. There's all kinds of digestive problems and bloating, and no wonder, because there's no good bacteria in the body to keep a balance whatsoever.
I see. It's also rare that you go to a traditional doctor that they talk to you about parasites and bugs in your body. It's something that doctors just keep away from, are squirmish to talk about or to test even. And I know growing up, we had bugs in our bodies as children. I grew up in Romania. It was a communist country. And I know we had bugs in our intestines. It was something that we talked about with the doctor, but not in this country. I've never heard a doctor or a pediatrician talk about the fact that we could have parasites in our intestines.
Yeah. It's a boat that has been missing in Western medicine for way too many years. I'm perplexed by it, that I'll get patients that have been put on 8 or 9 or 10 rounds of antibiotics for infections, but the doctors haven't looked at the fact that it's not even a bacterial infection, that it could be parasites, that it could be yeast and fungus, and they just go crazy and cause all kinds of problems long term. So I'm not sure why they're missing the boat. I would say in other countries, even the test for parasites that are done more appropriately, you take 4 or 5 samples in a day's period, because parasites can come and go even in a stool sample, if they're parasites that are large enough to even test in a stool sample. But in our country, if they even send somebody for one, they do 1 sample, and you potentially are missing the opportunity to find a remnant of a parasite. But I think the bigger issue is that the parasites come in all shapes or sizes, and they don't just live in the intestine. There are many sizes, including microscopic ones, that dance in and out of our cells and won't show up in the digestive system. So, that's a tough one.
So Dr. Dardano, what is your advice to boost our immune systems? Right now is flu season. There is the new coronavirus going around. What can we do to protect ourselves and meet all these viruses with heightened immune system?
Sure, absolutely. And I think it's a great question. And I think the biggest concern that most of us have at this point is people have been isolated for the last 8 months or so. So the immune systems are already lowered, because we're all used to going into stores, touching dirty doorknobs, getting germs off of floors and countertops and cash registers and credit card machines, and interacting with people on a daily basis. Our immune systems are just like our muscles. They need to be worked out on a regular basis so they continue to have challenges, to grow, to expand, and to get stronger. And so right now, most people have a weakened immune system. It's sort of like the boy in the bubble that's been kind of hiding out for a long time. So my best advice would be, the most effective tools right now for really getting the immune system strong and preparing for colds, flus, occasional coronavirus exposures is going to be zinc. For adults, about 25 milligrams a day. For kids, 25 milligrams twice a week. Vitamin C, the most natural form you can find. I like the ones that are extracted from fruits and not the synthetic ones. But vitamin C, 2,000 or 3,000 milligrams a day, split evenly throughout the day. You can't take it all at once because of absorption rates. And vitamin D3 at anywhere from 2,000 or 3,000 I use for kids to 5 or 6,000 I use for adult females, and 7 to 10,000 I use a day for adult males. And those are pretty high numbers. People would say that's aggressive, but vitamin D is wonderful at really strengthening and making a solid immune system throughout the winter months. And because everybody is a little lacking in this department, it's okay for 2 months, 3 months to be aggressive. You don't do it forever, but I would say from now through like, February, March, I would go hard if I were people, and that's what we're doing. And not over sanitizing the hands. Everybody's a little wild and crazy with their hand sanitizer, but again, we need to have germs. We need to be exposed to regular environmental toxins and bugs so that our immune system is really awake and ready to fight something if it needs to be.
I know you talked to me about being able to prescribe high quality zinc and vitamin D. You're also a supplier, or you have links with suppliers. Actually, can prescribe. You're a exclusive distributor, or if you can talk about that.
Sure. Well, obviously through all the years of practice and experience, it's been a journey for me of like finding the companies that do the highest quality.
Mm-hmm.
That do many levels of testing for, how direct everything is, making sure they don't have any toxins in them, making sure that the potency is exactly as prescribed. So over the years, I've found the companies that I trust with me, with my family, and with my patients and their health. I always say to people, go to CVS, and if it says buy 1 bottle of D3 and get 5 bottles for free, well, do you want a BMW or do you want a broken down Hyundai? With your health, do you want an old beat up car that you got 3 for free that you can't rely on? Or do you want the best, highest quality? And it's the same thing with food, with people, right? So we have to make our choices. But I would say the companies that I work with are companies I've been working with for so many years because I truly have faith in their developers, their researchers and their sciences, and the products that they use. So I love those companies.
If you could please talk about the spiritual aspect of your work with your patients.
Ooh, that's a big one. I would say the philosophy is the physical body being out of balance is a direct manifestation of what's going on internally with emotions and spiritual health and wellness. When someone is under a tremendous amount of stress for a really long time, and the only thing they do is go jogging through Central Park, abusing and running and pounding the pavement with their feet, they think that that's a stress reliever, but it's really an avoidance technique. It's about the stillness, listening to your body and what it has to say. The body is brilliant at talking louder and louder and louder until you're willing to finally stop, be still, and listen to what it's trying to tell you. So with my patients, it's really a journey of understanding what's going on for them, what emotions they're struggling with, what experiences are going on, and how that has impacted the body. I would say my 2 favorite examples are low back pain, which obviously as a chiropractor I see all the time. Low back pain has a very interesting emotional aspect because that is the first chakra. It is the root grounded chakra. It's about stability, safety, security, finances, home, career, marriage. It's about the foundation of feeling like we have a secure life. So when people come in and say, my back went out, it's killing me, I go, did you change jobs? Are you getting a divorce? Are you starting a new business? What's going on? And every time, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen. I lost my apartment. I have to move. I'm getting divorced. I'm having 2 babies. We're having twins. It's always a big life shift. So I treat the low back pain. I do the adjustments. We talk about the digestion, but we work on finding that grounded, rooted sense of self and that stability and security. Headaches are one of my favorite things. Headaches literally are overthinking, over worrying, over planning, manipulating, controlling thoughts in the head, that the head is so busy, incessantly thinking that it's literally an ache. Your brain is aching from exhaustion. It's just tired of thinking so hard. So I love that one because then again, it's about teaching that patient how to find quiet, how to still their mind, how to let go of the things that they cannot control in life, how to just be present in the moment, in the awareness, let go of the past, stop thinking about the future, and just be here and let go of all of this chitter chatter. And it's amazing to see the headaches start to go away after 20 years, 30 years. Um, to me, that's the most fun, interesting part of what I do because when I see the symptoms with people, it just tells me what's really going on for them. And then I get to take them down that journey over time. When they're ready to hear it, then it's like, okay, now let's really talk about where some of this stuff is happening from. And I just find it fascinating. It's different with everybody, but there are some common themes that run all the way across.
Yes, I know that from experience because I came to you with knee problems, and we had to, besides the adjustments that you had to do for me, we had to take that spiritual route too, and to get to the root of the problem, why I store that pain in my knees. And I had you're, as you said, you're not confrontational. You talk to the patient when he's ready to confront certain issues, and you also have a manner about yourself that I feel very comfortable with you telling you everything, and also I cannot hide anything from you. Like, it's something compelling about you that makes me blur out everything that's behind, in my mind. And yeah. So I took that journey with you. And you're also supportive with, you gave me short meditations that's helped me with the spiritual journey, helped me to ground myself. And I believe you do that with all your patients for chiropractic or holistic medicine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's been a great journey with you. It's been wonderful every step of the way.
With age, we tend to forget things. We forget our keys, we forget our phones. And we tend to blame this forgetfulness on age. But what is really going on? Because I remember we had this discussion at one point.
Sure. And I think that it's a complex situation, but I'll break it down to a few pieces and just in general make a statement, but it's very individual, person by person. But the hormone system has to balance through each system, the brain, the thyroid, the adrenals, reproduction. Each one has its own functions, its own processes, and they all need to work at optimal level, but they also have to communicate and work together as a team. And I would say over time, throughout the years, the body starts to steal a little bit from here, steal a little bit from there, and redirect the energy, the enzymes, the focus on where it's struggling the most. So when you have someone who has been stressed out for 20 years at their job, their adrenal stress response has been pushing and pushing and pushing for years, and it's just exhausting. And we actually have these levels of adrenal fatigue, adrenal exhaustion, and like just adrenal burnout. And so what happens is the body goes, well, I need the adrenals to work because they're my fight or flight. They help me stand up. They help me focus. They help me get my eyes open. So I'm going to just steal 10% from the brain, and I'm going to steal 10% from the thyroid and 20% from the reproduction. And over time, you see, mostly with women, thyroid issues, and with men, a lot more in the brain and the reproductive system. So number one, rebalancing all of the hormones, getting them all back to like full working, full strength and a balance is going to already get the brain turned back on and back to doing its job. And I would say the other big thing is that even though the brain is like its own enclosed system, the nervous system, over years we do get toxins, and there's a lot of inflammation that happens in the brain. So at some point that has to be addressed with people. The brain, doing a colon cleanse or a juice cleanse is not going to affect all the toxins that have been sitting in our head over all of these years. So actually using very therapeutic nutritional supplements and different kinds of detoxes, we have to get all of that toxin out of the nervous system and get the inflammation back to a normal baseline in the brain. And all of a sudden, it's back to functioning. The head is clear. The memory comes back, the focus, the clarity, the attention. And you see that as the process goes on over time, but it's usually multiple layers of things that have happened. So it's a bit of a process, but I've seen it time and time again. People like get back to, oh, I just remembered where my keys were. And usually I'm just like wandering around for 10 minutes, but I said, where are my keys? Oh, they're right here. And I love to see that even with my mom, that her memory focus got so much better over a period of time. And now she's, sharp as a knife. Good stuff.
Great. Wow. Amazing. So these are all the questions I had. Is there something that you would like us to talk about?
Sure. I would love to mention something about everything that's going on in the world and just bring everybody back into a focus for a moment, because there's so much division right now that's going on. There's a lot of polarization, whether it's political, whether it's COVID, whether it's masks, whether it's, the new legislation and potential abortion changes. Everybody has their sides, their opinions. There's a lot of uncertainty and fear and people being closed off. And even more so, we've been separated from family members, friends, where we used to be able to interact on a very regular, very intimate basis. And people have a lot of distance and have gone in, closed the doors, and separated. And what I would say is, I think the most important thing that people can do right now is to focus on being in their heart and out of their mind, thinking, fear, concern, all of this stuff, but just getting back into a center of heart space, opening the heart and having compassion and patience, understanding for everyone else on the journey that everybody's on, everyone having their own perspectives, but just looking beyond all of the issues that are going on and just opening our hearts to having love for everybody else around us and love for ourselves. And, we say in energy medicine that fear, darkness, anger, anxiety cannot live in the same place as love. The energies don't combine, dark and light. So if people just continue to go back into their heart space, even just closing your eyes and saying, I'm opening my heart and I'm just completely full of love and kindness, and seeing it just start to expand out in every direction towards everybody that we know, everybody that we don't know, that would have a tremendous impact on how difficult life is right now for all of us. And that shift in energy would have a huge impact on, mankind and what's happening in the world. So that's my best piece of advice I can give today.
Wow, so powerful. Thank you so much for this last advice and for all the advice you gave us throughout this interview. Really powerful stuff. Thank you so much. And so people can find you in Beacon, New York right now, but also you come from time to time in Manhattan.
That's true. I do both. And the majority of my work is done virtually. So I see patients all over the world, which gives people opportunities from anywhere to do work with me.
So you actually can diagnose people remotely.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Dardano, for today. This was great. And I hope everybody's going to take away something from here, from our discussion, because there's so much. It's something for everybody. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Take care.